hobbies and kind of recreational activities, things that you do for fun, how have those been affected? I know you said something about running and tennis. And we don't have to go in order here, but do you guys have anything more to add about that?
Well, personally, for example, in school, starting in 7th grade, and actually still continuing, if I am up late all night, specifically when I have my J pouch, it's really difficult to be able to focus in school because I'm up all night, up and down, going to the bathroom. And also physically, I know many of us have been anemic, I'm sure, so that takes a real toll on you, and you feel really exhausted all the time, and it's also, you also become very dehydrated with Crohn's or colitis, so that's something you have to maintain, and it's really difficult to balance your extracurriculars and work or school, and also manage your disease at the same time.
And then I also wanted to know about, so do people at work know, and has your disease affected your career? I know you mentioned being at a startup and that you had to leave Pennsylvania, because of having health insurance. Has having your disease, so not do people at work know, but has having Crohn's or colitis affected the career that you've taken? It's maybe just for you two here.
So for me, yes. Not only did I have to move home, at the time I was managing retail store, and that was really hard because if there's nobody else on the floor, you literally can't leave the floor. When I had, in 2007, I had my really bad year, I had just started a new job and I had been there 5 weeks when all of this happened, and they were really great. They kept my position and kept me around, but then a few years later when I went out on disability, they kept my position for as long as they legally needed to, and then they let me go. So I was laid off because of it. And currently, my job, they do know. And it's a conscious choice that I make because when I'm having a bad day and I am making those 5 to 10 bathroom trips in, you know, my 8 to 5 working day, and everybody sees me going in and out and in and out, and just so I'm the HR person, so I get on people if they take too long of breaks and too long of lunches. So it doesn't look so good, you know, if they don't know why I keep running in and out. So everybody there knows, and they're really supportive, and they support me when I do my fundraising. But it is challenging because it's awkward when you're in the middle of a meeting and it's just, bam, it hits you and you have no choice but to get up and go, or you will poop your pants, and that's awkward. So
yes, for me, I've had I'm in San Francisco, I'm in tech and startups. Everybody talks about starting their own company, going out there, making it for yourself. For me, that's kind of been a remote option or not an option at all, because of not having health insurance would be a huge problem. Like, I need to have health insurance to pay for these drugs, to pay for these doctor visits. I'm excited that we're getting closer to national health insurance. It might present more opportunities to me should I come up with that huge idea. I've been lucky to have a pretty supportive group at work. The people that need to know about my disease know about my disease. There's always those awkward moments where you have to run out of a meeting, particularly when it's a meeting you called and you're about 40 minutes in and people are still talking, and you're like, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. But yeah, I mean, the worst thing that ever happened was I had a Crohn's and colitis poster up for fundraising, and my boss's boss came by, asked what that was, and I told him, and he chuckled a little bit and walked away. But that was about 10 years ago. I think people are a little more educated on things, or at least better at HR policies now.
Wow. You know, we should get Amber on him. Let's hear the HR policies here. And I know just in talking with other patients, there are just some careers that are ruled out. You can't be a starving artist, or at least, you know, until you're 26, and then you need to get your own health insurance. Certain kinds of scientist jobs of working out in a field that you just can't do. So let's see, I'm trying to think of how long everybody's been patients here. Was anybody a patient before Remicade came out? Remember you? Or maybe, I mean, your dad certainly would know. I know that.
My father was definitely.
Yeah. So that just changed the field of what's available. I know we're all fortunate, I guess, to be patients at a time when there are this many options. But as you can hear, it's, oh, what did you say? You said it's a limited runway of options. I love that phrase because you see how many options there are, and each one is just trial and error of trying it, you're allergic to it. You try it, your liver fails. And each time a medication fails, you know there are only so many after that. And so each time a new medication comes out, it's very exciting because that's one more possibility of that may be the one that works for me and gets me into remission. So that's something I wanted to point out. And then I also wanted to ask, we'll open it up for questions from the audience, but one more thing that I wanted to ask was about manifestations of the disease outside of your gut. Can any of you talk about other, like joint problems or skin problems with your eyes, just other areas that diseases affect your whole body? Can you even speak to that?
So I've had knee problems, which was also one of the things as a child, going to the doctors for, wow, my knees, they just hurt so bad. I've done cheerleading since I was 10, so, it was either growing pains or you shouldn't be a cheerleader. And so in college, I did end up having a knee surgery, and it was orthoscopic, and just because they didn't know. They had no idea. They went in there, they cleaned up a bunch of stuff, took out a bunch of fluid, but they're like, yeah, we don't really know why your knee is hurting still. I'm like, oh, okay. And that was pre-diagnosis, and so I would venture to say that my knee pain is definitely a symptom or cause of my Crohn's disease. So, I'm not a cheerleader anymore, so I don't know why my knees would still hurt.
I don't know if it's a cause, but probably a correlation. I've had knee pain, my ankles. It's sort of, I played a lot of basketball, so it started with my ankles and my knees, and now it's my lower back. I've been to a chiropractor, been rehabbing. My wife's got me into Pilates, which is awesome. It's somewhat gut related, but I get a lot of heartburn, and it's the kind of heartburn that they say heartburn, but it's really sort of upper body burn. It starts here, but it works all the way up, like behind my ear and into my temple.
Well, it wouldn't necessarily be a direct cause of having ulcerative colitis, but definitely many side effects of my medications. When my disease was at its largest in like 2009, 2010 time frame, I would have really bad joint pain, and also probably just prednisone is what caused it. I have really bad stretch marks, like I mentioned before, on my legs, and it also stunted my growth during that time. But those are mainly just side effects of the medications. But ulcerative colitis and Crohn's have also really known to cause joint pain, like both Amber and Ray mentioned. So that's how I would say the main causes.
Thank you, guys. So now we're going to open it up to, we have microphones in both aisles here. From listening to them and their stories here, what questions do you have? Don't be shy. Oh, there we go. Brave soul.
First of all, huge, profound thanks for coming and reminding us what's behind all the test tubes and the data sheets that we look at every day. Could I ask you to speak a little bit about the relationship you have with your attending physician, and in particular, from our perspective, how you discuss what treatment options, what feedback you provide as to what's working, what do you know about what options you have with respect to drugs and combinations and other therapies? You talk about what you talk to your doctor about.
Well, my GI and my surgeon are both at the Cleveland Clinic, so obviously that's quite a long plane ride. So I don't see them in person quite as often as if they were nearby. But I exchange emails with my GI quite often, well, whether it's just a new symptom or if my medications are causing unexpected side effects. So we communicate via email very often, and then when I see them in person, probably just every few months I see them in person. We will do examinations, obviously, and we will continue the conversation about whether the medications are working, what seems to be working, or if it's like maybe outside side effects, if I'm more stressed, or if I'm getting less sleep, when it seems to be working less or it seems to be working more.
So I fired a few doctors because it's my body and they are supposed to listen to me. Since becoming more involved with the CCFA in 2008, I have become much more proactive in looking at things and the different medications, and when I attend support groups, you know, having friends who are going through the same thing, and not that every medication works for everybody or every choice everyone makes works for everybody, but you learn from each other. And so I do try to initiate the conversations with my doctors